Call the meeting to order.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Lehman?
Here.
Gilman? Is running late. Chasm?
Here.
Horn? Here. Underwood?
Here.
Is there a conflict of interest with anything on the agenda today? Oh, approval agenda. There's approval agenda, and there's going to be.
I would like to make a motion to move item C, clarification of Blue Star SAD, to item A, so that we can accommodate our guests.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Now, conflict of interest. Nobody has a conflict of interest tonight. I think of public comment. Does anybody? Okay, we're going to read the rules first, and then you can go.
Any person may make an advance appointment with the board regarding road commission topics for a regular or special meeting in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. If an appointment is made, the topic will be an agenda item. The following applies to public comments. Please state his or her name and address. Topic must be relevant to the road commission. Individuals are allowed to speak once for up to 3 minutes on a single topic, which may be extended by the chair. A group addressing the board requires a designated spokesperson who may speak up to 10 minutes. The board will not act on any item from the public that is not on the agenda.
Now, if you would please state your name and where you're from. And
Suzanne Weiss, 1720 Road, 21 Bannister Road, Traverse, and my husband owned a warehouse office on Blue Star. We've gone all over it a lot last week, everybody's concerns, and we're not here to find fault in anybody. We just want to work together with you to get this road done that's desperately needed. Like your purveyors said they're going to refuse starting to deliver because the roads are so bad and our cars are kind of clunking around over there. But you know our situation, and we just pray that you will work with us and get this settled and get it done. Thank you.
okay. Anybody else?
Brett Grant, 716 Miser Court, and I just throughout, I haven't heard anybody say this. I know that the road needs to be upgraded to a commercial because of all the commercial properties, and everyone's saying that that road was originally done for residential. And I just like to say that we've been paying commercial taxes for a long time. And we're not afraid to pitch in a little bit, but we don't want to be held hostage either. So with that said, I'd just like that to be on record that we have been paying commercial taxes for a long time. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I have one question. We never did get to see the bid from Elmer's to know what it entailed. I know you talked about taking the gutters off, and you said a few other things, but never specifically said what they were.
I think the only thing we subtracted was the curb and gutter, is that correct?
We talked about that, yeah.
So that would be the only thing we would be removing is that curb and gutter. Everything else would still be done according to the original plans. And we have, if you want to see the actual line item bids, you're more than welcome to come in. We can show you everything as far as what it costs. Or if you just want to review like what the plans actually show to see where different things are going to be spillways in that, you're more than welcome to come in. We can show you the entire set of plans.
Okay. And the last bid we had, the 350, it showed a 40,000 contingency. Is that just a buffer in case they need it?
Yes, so this is where we have our adjustment in the bid prices as prices fluctuate drastically based on projects and availability of contractors and just the cost of materials. Okay. So that's built in to kind of cover some of those things, as well as what may be found when we get into the subdivision. If there's something that was not hit by a soil boring, it may need to be taken out or it may need to be adjusted more than actually on the bid quantities.
Okay.
All right, so there's no other public comment. We're going to move into action items. and clarification of Blue Star SAD. Before you is the cost layout of what's happening with this particular. Do you have questions on this, or would you like to know what the solution is that I'm gonna need a motion for?
I do want to point out Amy DeHaan is here too, for those of you that don't know Amy. She's the one that prepared this and came over here for the meeting if the board had any questions from the township's point of view.
Because here's where we're at. This has been too long of a process. The average SAD is 15 to 18 months. We're at 24 months. During this process, we had an illness and a death and a retirement. Our policies changed. There was some miscalculations on the township part. There was some miscommunication on ours part. So with the township today, as you can see, Garfield Township was scheduled to pay 38% of the cost. And if this board is willing, the township was willing to split the extra 13% with us. So we were able to cover 6.5% of the actual construction costs, which should be under $45,000. Then this project can move ahead. Elmer's has a slot, they say, so we can actually get this project done. The township has agreed to that on the staff level. Of course, the board has to approve it next Tuesday. But I'm assured that they probably would. It's just kind of a one-time incident where we're just trying to get it corrected. And so I'll make the motion, I believe it's so proper, that we cover 6.5% of the construction.
Of the overage that
Overage
Garfield was
cost.
going to be paying.
Yes, Garfield. So
Or that Garfield had to pay to make it from their normal 25% cost.
and I want to use the percentage only because we have it estimated at just under 42,000, but that number might change. So
So I just want to, as a point of clarification to your motion, Garfield Township's statutory obligation is 25%.
right, well, the old policy, this is where things get blurry because that's the old policy. We've changed the policy in this process.
The policy was changed before this process
Yes.
started.
Okay, so under the existing policy to which this SAD that would apply to this SAD, Garfield Township typically would have paid 25% of the construction.
Well, we don't really have any control over what the township pays, so all we have is our policy that says the parties in the special assessment district and the township have to come to agreement on it, and we don't care as a part of our policy.
I'm just trying to figure out the 38%, and maybe this is a question more for the
Maybe.
township assessor. Originally, the township had agreed to pay 25%, is that of the construction costs?
Of the project.
The project cost.
Mhm.
We are at 38% because of the time
It's
frame
taken
between
long,
which it is.
materials more expensive.
So
yes.
we are, your motion is 6.5% of that 13%
Yes.
above
The total.
township's
Yeah.
obligation. of
So they're gonna come
25%.
up 6.5%. We're gonna cover that 6.5%.
I'll support that motion for discussion purposes.
What other happens to the other percentage? Because we're only obligated to pay 50.
This is where I'm coming to.
That's where I'm
So
confused.
I just want to make sure everybody understands. The estimate that was given to them as part of the new policy was for construction costs only. In the new policy, the construction costs are borne by the township and the SAD. The road commission takes on the responsibility of all engineering, which is about $127,000 roughly, give or take, plus test, or including testing and everything else we do. So the original proposed assessment came out, but they took out the 25% that we did in the former policy. But if historically, had it been under the former policy, it would have been total project costs. So that $127,000 that we have already committed to for soft costs would have been added into the construction as a total project cost. And then we would pay 25% and they would pay 25%. But what happened was that was a construction only estimate. It wasn't a project cost estimate because in the new policy, it's only construction that gets covered by the SAD. So there was confusion as to how that came about. So what ended up happening is now, in order to make up the difference, so that the original public hearing estimates that were proposed and voted upon by the board are still within that 10% limit, they have to take into account the fact that we aren't paying that 25% that we had historically because we're putting the 25% of soft costs. And that's where this comes in, where they had to increase their cost of the construction up to 38%. So that was to keep it below that 10% maximum increase in the assessment that was originally voted upon.
Okay, I think this is for my own benefit and probably most of the public in here's benefit too, because I'm confused, frankly, about this.
Yeah.
Me too.
The total project cost at this point is 543,164. Correct?
Including our soft costs.
That's why I said total project.
Total cost, yeah.
Out of that, we are obligated under the existing policy for the soft costs which are engineering costs of 127,770, correct?
That's staff time and.
That is all our.
Yep.
Where is this addition, what is your reference to this 25% of project costs and where is that coming?
So that's the old policy. The old policy was we would add all that into the project. So you'd have that 127, you'd have that 543, and then we would pay 25% of the total cost, and the township would pay 25% of the total cost of the whole project.
Okay, let me stop you there. Is that because we figured out that the engineering costs typically amounted to 25% of the project?
They're always 23.5 to 27.5%. So we said
Okay,
it's just easier. Construction cost is the project. And that's where we would eat all of the soft costs. And that's where we came up with the new policy because it was within very small differences.
okay. So right now, what we are working on is that under the original bid, that came in lower, correct?
Well, no,
At
the
the time of the
original,
public here.
the estimate and how they formatted the original SAD was based on our estimate of $350,000 for construction costs, not total project costs. So it didn't include that 127,000 in that cost. And then they figured out 25% and 25% off of that, which dropped it lower than 25% off of the construction costs.
Right, I think what the concern is being expressed here, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, is that the construction cost between the time that original 350,000 came in to now is even after removing, the curbs is $410,000.
No, that's before removing the curves.
Okay, so after
We're
removing
still higher.
those curbs, it's about 385 roughly,
Which
right?
is, yes.
Which is still about $35,000 more. And I
Right.
guess their question is, they're responsible for the remaining 50% of
But-
that.
But what Garfield Township is proposing and what his motion states is we would take what they were originally assessed with their with their taking out 25% of construction for them and 25% of construction for us. That's how they based what that special assessment was going to be on, half the cost of construction.
Right.
So we are covering the fact that they took out the cost for them and the cost for us out of that construction, even though we had already taken out our soft costs. So when they presented this, they had an additional 25% reduction from that 350. And so when they presented it to the, as a public hearing on it, they came up with a estimate that was for them to have a cost share of $170,000 with 10%. So what we're saying is, in order to keep it within that statutory requirement, so we don't exceed that 120, Garfield Township's motion or their estimate is they were going to pay 30% or 38% of the cost of that construction or the project.
So the homeowner's amount is staying flat.
The homeowner they are taking a 10% increase per statutory limits.
And this is the correct number, right? This is the numbers you did, 6,700 per unit per parcel. Is that right? It's October 3rd date, huh?
So under this, because I don't think the public has this.
No, they do not.
Under this, the total cost to property owners is $179,323.69.
Or
99.
60s.
Should be 99,
It should be 99.
Okay.
yes. 670370 to each property owner's average.
So those are the numbers that would be your obligation.
Sure.
And then that 200
that did not change.
No, that's basically with the public hearing that was held, that takes it to the maximum that they can have expenditures charged to the property owners. So that additional increase that Garfield Township is expecting now is from 25% to 38%, and that's what his motion is saying. We'll split the difference between the
Right.
25 and the 38.
So we're both,
to
so
6.5.
both us, we're paying what, 31.5 roughly percent.
Okay.
Because we have the soft cost plus the,
And that will allow this
6.5.
project to move forward now.
Right, and this project can be completed this year.
Yes.
Okay. I'll be
So,
supporting
and it's a
it.
one-time issue because of the confusion that's happened with this. Jason, you probably have a comment.
No. I mean, again, I mean, I guess maybe might bear some of the responsibility because we didn't make our policy clear,
Right.
because this was definitely started after our policy
Yeah.
was enacted. Okay, and the township, for its part, then carried out our through in a misrepresentative way, the actual.
So both sides are kind of, and miscommunications on both sides.
We didn't have anything before us when we changed the policy. There was no,
there was one, there was only that East Bay Township,
Yeah.
which that was the only one in motion at the time.
But
this was laying in the wood, this was laying in the woods, sort of.
this started in, what's the timeline?
All right, so they originally sent in their first request for rough estimate, came to us on August 24th of 2021, but they did not give us notification to proceed till July 26th of 2022. The new policy was put in place 12/16 of 2021, and we had the public hearings with all the townships on March 1st.
So, so I think it's the best solution, kind of.
We need to pay and make it go away.
Yes, so in effect,
So I mean, the
both
split
us
between
and
the
the township,
township.
we're a little,
Okay, all right.
so we're gonna split that difference.
You have a motion and you have a support for the motion.
Roll call. Everybody's okay. And that you'll report back
We will report back
what
actual
that
costs.
is, probably no more than 45.
It won't be more.
45,000.
45,000, it will not be more.
Okay.
Gilman,
Yes.
Chasm,
Yes.
Horn,
Yes.
Lehman,
Yes.
Underwood.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We do talk about the fact that, okay, we set policies.
Yeah.
And then we come back.
Thank you. It's a one-time
Do
deal.
the exception. By breaking the policy.
Well, for me, the date that it was presented to the people and the estimates were made to the people.
Was before we had
It
our
was
public
before we
hearing.
had our policy enacted.
It was right around the
No,
same time.
it was after our policy. They got their first estimate March 18th. We had their public meeting at Networks Northwest March 1st.
But I mean, we were in that transition and we were
Yeah.
still trying to explain our policy, if I recall correctly. So I mean,
We need to think about at another time, not tonight. The fact that the local roads, the county board chairman even came to us a couple Saturdays ago when we had our special meeting and said, we need to find a way to address this, and we need to think about some neighborhood rehabilitative alternatives going forward. Maybe that's something for the construction.
And I've seen some good coming out of the crews that have been out doing some of their repair work.
And I hope that we can do more of that
Yeah.
next year.
Before
So-
we go into closed session, I think Brad had indicated. he
Oh,
wanted
that's
to
right.
Make an announcement.
Thank you.
So I just want to make sure the entire board is aware. Yesterday afternoon, we had another accident in a work zone, not involving our crews, but it was involving one of our contracted worker crews. It was at the intersection of Garfield and Airport. They were in the process of changing lanes in the pavement marking crew, and somebody pulled in behind where the vehicle was backing in. And the worker who was backing them in was not visible to the driver, but got pinched between the pavement marking truck and the privately owned pickup truck. Fractured multiple ribs and punctured something internally, so he is currently still in Munson and is going to be there for at least another 2 to 3 days.
A little more patience, for God's sakes.
But it's, yes, it's a yet another. And so I want to also inform you that on Friday of last week, after we came back into the office, we sat down, we had MDOT come in. We had somebody from the sheriff's office come in. And we talked to them in great detail about what we can do for some safety things. The sheriff's office is always available if we wish to pay for some overtime. It's not the whole cost, but we can pay for work or for officers to be in certain locations or patrol certain locations as we're working. But MDOT is going to work with us to try and develop a statewide message of something similar to click it or ticket, or look twice, save a life type thing. So their PR people are going to try and get something going with us to try and get this message out, because this is 3 accidents in 3.5 months.
Yeah.
And it's because people are not paying attention and they are not patient, and they're texting still to this day on their phones all the time. And our drivers report it regularly. They're high enough up, they can see what's happening in the vehicles next to
Don't even
them,
have to be high enough.
and the people are texting.
These people are still doing rash. They just go.
Yeah, so we are still working on doing something. We are gonna have some stuff coming forth. Joe is coming in on the 16th. He's gonna do a ride around with our guys to kind of see what's out there. But we do hope that afterwards we can talk seriously about finding some solutions out there. It is gonna cost something, but we can't keep doing this. We've got to somehow get the message out. Ron Jolly was very kind enough to say he will start mentioning or taglining whatever we come up with. 9 and 10 said they would give us an incredibly discounted, if not free rate, depending on when we want these posted out there. So we've got a lot of potential to get the message out. We just need to get it regularly so people can hear it and people can start realizing. One of the other things is we are very happy because we're doing paint to plow again this year, and we have some interest in it. That shows parents and students how big these plows are, and they can get a sense of seeing what they're facing and what our drivers are facing. So we need to keep the message out there. We need to get this message out starting at a younger age, especially as, you know, these kids start driving. If they're texting, they're not a good driver to begin with. So we got to keep doing stuff like
I know you were
that.
talking about this. Where did you get any phone calls on the plows?
I received two new emails.
They were on the radio this morning with Vic.
We have 2 plows ready for delivery next week.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to go into closed session for consideration of a written attorney-client communication regarding non-union issue pursuant to MCL 15.2681H and 15.2431G.
I'll support.
Chasm,
Yes.
Horn,
Yes.
Lehman,
Yes.
Gilman,
Yes.
Underwood.
Yes.
That's the end of work, huh? Could you give me a copy of the side issue?
With the townships.
Yes.
Yep.
Was that?
A good time for me to leave.
this is how it's affected. You keep putting loans, the whole loan all that stuff. I'm trying to teach my kid, and like, sorry to say that whole thing. Go with me, buddy.
I'm missing.
We've been talking about, these are,
I mean, Kylie asked her where to go.
Oh.
Oh, Mr. Roloff.
we're just sitting talking.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Flip my coat over. Kitchen, get some coffee. Who's gonna make some coffee?
So you're missing the birthday party.
Yeah, when I found out we were having a meeting tonight, I postponed things till tomorrow, but something not so good happened. at my work today, so now I have to work tomorrow, so it's not feeling like a very good month.
Last year, 2 years ago,
Same thing as
we
Chuck
did the,
Fridays, right?
World Guinness
Yeah,
Record.
except
of
I am
yeah,
running the agency, so I work
The
7 days.
largest Irish coffee had, I forget how
So I
many
had
gallons of
specifically,
Bailey's Irish cream
he
and ice
started a few
cream.
weeks
and-
ago, but it's interim right now.
Good. I mean, you got Bailey's, but I've had some homemade stuff before.
Yeah.
It's from somewhere. It's like,
So-
oh my God, it was.
So I do work all 7 days, but, so what I
I
did,
don't know how we could get any better
this
anyway.
meeting got scheduled. Emma decided to come tomorrow morning instead of tonight, and I booked a tour at the state hospital. And then we're going to see Lily and all of her. And she had, tells to go to school.
Doesn't go, does it?
They're all the way back to Traverse
Is it?
tomorrow, so it worked out.
Because I remember being back and
But now I
seeing,
have to-
and turning on, you can see everything, and you can't hear, but you can see everything,
I
and it
just,
says closed.
so,
Oh, you did?
yeah, just read it next to
Oh, no.
Oh, you can't see me on there.
Oh, sorry, do you wanna get on there?
No, no, I don't want to be in there.
There you go.
That's, yeah.
I make a motion to come out of closed session.
Moved and seconded?
Voice vote.
Voice vote.
Aye.
Aye. Passes. Moving on to item now C, consideration of personnel action. Brad, would you like to go into closed session?
Sure. Make a motion, we go into closed session for the discussion personal with respect to the managing director.
I will.
Haley?
Corn,
Yes.
Lehman,
Yes.
Gilman,
Yes.
Chasm,
Yes.
Underwood.
Yes.
I'm bringing my notepad.
Oh.
And my.
You should have it.
No, I returned it.
The bottom.
It was, I'm like, okay.
whole time. It's kinda like sitting there.
I'm sorry,
Long
got you
time.
up there.
I've been here a long time. Why is there a TV? Oh, for everybody to see. It was used to be the other way around. It's kind of nice though, because people walk in, they don't have to go around. They don't have to speak.
Yeah.
They got horses. Yeah. My horse is on. Might be late. But I don't know.
I don't care. I'll go anywhere. My wife's working, so.
And Watson? Was in there. I was in there about a month ago overnight. Well, I left early because it got me into a stress test that night instead of the night. They charged me. There's my insurance.
For you.
Thank you.
Move to come out of closed session.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'd like to recognize Brad.
Thank you. I want to say that I've really enjoyed working here at the Road Commission. It's been one of the best experiences of my life. I can honestly say I've loved every minute of it, and I really appreciate everything we've been able to accomplish over the time. But at this point, I am going to tender my resignation for the position and move on to other things. So.
Thank you, Brad. I'd like to make a motion. Brad has tendered his resignation for the position of managing director of the Road Commission. We move that the board accept it effective immediately and authorize the Road Commission to take any other actions necessary to logistically effectuate Brad's resignation. Support. Roll call, please.
Lehman,
Yes.
Gilman,
Yes.
Chasm,
Yes.
Corn,
Yes.
Underwood.
Yes. I'd like to make a motion, the board appreciates Brad's service to the Road Commission and his capacity as managing director. And recognize of his service, I move that the board present Brad with a separation agreement and release in a form of recommended by our attorney for his consideration. For a second. Support. Kylie?
Gilman,
Yes.
Chasm,
Yes.
Corn,
Yes.
Lehman,
Yes.
Underwood.
Yes. I make a motion that the board temporarily designates, according to state statute, the superintendent as as an active interim managing director effective immediately, and to take action to start the search for a replacement.
Support.
Okay. It's been moved and supported. Kylie?
Chasm,
Yes.
Corn,
Yes.
Lehman,
Yes.
Gilman,
Yes.
Underwood.
Yes. Can you make that one?
I'd like to make a motion to allow Commissioner Underwood to finalize a resolution to update staff named on bank accounts and as signatories under the direction of finance at Grand Traverse County as a result of the organizational change and to allow for no lapse in business from the Road Commission. Support.
It's been moved and seconded. Kylie?
Corn,
Yes.
Lehman,
Yes.
Gilman,
Yes.
Chasm,
Yes.
Underwood.
Yes. Is there any public comment? Do the commissioners have any comments?
I want to thank Brad.
Yeah, thank you.
Like I said, it's a business decision. I hope to see you all outside this environment and we can.
Oh, I guarantee you will.
So,
Yes, thank you very much, Brad.
Appreciate your service here. If there's no further
business to come before us?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion is adjourned. We are